Let's bring in Dr. Joe Congeni right now at Akron Children's Hospital Sports Medicine Center. Okay, Joe, came down, last Friday afternoon. Francisco Lindor, calf strain, 7 to 9 weeks. I'm still trying to understand these calf strains. Lonnie Chisenhall basically took 2 years out of his career with the Indians. Talk to us from the ground floor and build up about calf strains.
Yeah, I wanted to talk about Frankie Lindor today. I mean, you couldn't have given us as Cleveland baseball fans, worse news last week. I mean, he's on the Mount
Agreed.
Rushmore of Cleveland sports. We've probably only got him a couple more years. This is his first year, the arbitration year, although, they settled on an amount. We're paying him a lot of money finally. I mean, those early years, you have control over the players. This is a big year. And, I mean, he's the key to everything is revolving around him. These athletes, Ray, and baseball players too, and particularly somebody like Frankie, as you talk about these muscular injuries, they are explosive athletes. And so a lot of people, when you saw a thin, Frankie Lindor when he first came up and everything, he hit 38 home runs and 92 ribbies last year. You see him play in the field. These are explosive athletes, and as we build athletes bigger, stronger, faster, this explosiveness comes from the muscle tendon unit. And so from the standpoint, we're putting demands on muscle tendons like we've never seen before. And we see more pec tears, bicep tears, and calf muscle tears and strains. The thing about this one, though, Ray, reading between the lines, it must be a more significant injury. Right off the bat, the Indians medical team said 7 to 9 weeks. So 7 to 9 weeks for a calf muscle. There probably is some tearing, some injury in the integrity of the muscle, or they wouldn't be saying that's a long period of time, 7 to 9. I realize that they're going to want to have all the caution in the world, and it is the time of spring training. But the 7 to 9 weeks was unsettling for me again, and wearing my hat as a Cleveland Indians fan. So today is the day, from what I read last night, that he actually starts his physical therapy. So physical therapy is where the sports medicine team takes over. And I talk all the time about we're like every other team in town. The sports medicine team has certain people that do certain things well and have certain jobs. Today it becomes the job of the sports physical therapist. And the sports physical therapist is a absolutely critical part of our sports medicine team. So they'll get their first crack at Frankie today. And what they'll start with Francisco for the calf muscle is 3 phases of treatment. And the first phase in the muscle tendon will be preparing the muscle and tendon to heal and repair. And there's several things that the therapist can do, from muscle stimulation, gentle range of motion, muscle stimulation is an old therapy that's been around a while, to some of the newer things, like they'll probably do some dry needling and cupping to get the blood flow back in that area. Phase 2 is where they have to build this explosion in the muscle, really a lot of strengthening and balance work, and that's going to be an important phase. And phase 3 is preparation for return to play. So a lot of people think it's like the old days. You just stick a finger in the air and say, hey, it's been 4 weeks, 3 weeks, whatever, Frankie should be ready, let's put him back out there. No, there's very specific objective tests we do, Ray, and if you see these guys that are in phase 3, they're doing triple jumps like in the Olympics. They're doing timed shuttle runs that you can actually compare one side to the other in a lot of these tests. And they have to be in the 85, 90, 95% range before we even start talking about them returning to play. So 3 phases that Frankie has to go through. Same that a Wadsworth baseball player. Do you notice that Horner kid, Ray Horner, have any eligibility left? The same kind of thing we'd be doing with Ray Horner in our office today that they'll be doing with Frankie in Arizona.
So a strain itself, is it the fraying of muscle? Is it... talk to me about the strain.
Yeah, it's 3 stages. So stage 1 is where you just overstretch the muscle, short period of time. Type 2 is a partial tear, and 3 is a complete tear. Generally, in these big fleshier muscles like the calf muscle, they're variations of phase 2 if they're going to be out this long. So he's got to have, this is what everybody's talking about in sports medicine circles, some tearing, some injury to the muscle itself, not just an overstretch, for them to be saying 7 to 9 weeks. And so with some tearing, there's got to be a little bit longer phase one of his rehab, that preparing the muscle for the stuff that comes later, and that's what'll start today. But no doubt this has to be a stage 2 type injury, a type 2 type injury where there is some tearing of the muscle.
And Joe, he plays the most demanding position on the field.
He does. And so, but a lot of people don't understand how explosive our athletes are these days. And I think if there's one word to tell you why we see so many of these muscle injuries that you ask about, that we saw in the past, is that these athletes have to not only have strength and balance and range of motion and all that kind of stuff, they have to have explosion in the muscle to be at the level this guy on our Mount Rushmore. Now, one more thing I got going for me is I have a scout going down in a couple of weeks by the name of Ray Horner, and I'm going to want to get all the information on Frankie that I can.
I'm on it, man.
When are you going down?
Saturday the 23rd. I'll have the show out there beginning Monday the 25th.
So I want to hear some updates from you when you're out there to give me a little mid-substance, how it's going with sports medicine. But today the sports medicine team takes over. This is what gets these guys jazzed, to work with athletes too, because they know we want at the end point a 98%, 99% Frankie Lindor when we get to April, right?
That's no doubt about it. I think you should come on out there with me, Joe, and give me that first-hand observation on it.
I'd love to, but I'm going to have to just hear the updates from you, and you do an awesome job. You can tell how much you love that week.
I do. Joe, thank you for the insight, my friend. Good stuff. We'll catch up with you next week.
Okay, Frankie. All right, Ray. Keep an eye on Frankie. Thanks.
I will. Dr. Joe Congeni, Sports Medicine Center, Akron Children's Hospital, with us.